Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our second podcast episode for the IYSJ Podcast. I'm Dalia.
I'm Gauri, and we will be hosting the second episode, as Dalia said. So, from last time, I know it's been a while, but Dalia and I are now co-heads of IYSJ, and we're super excited to invite some members of the Curiosity Creators on board. Do you guys want to say hi?
What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hey. Um, so first, how about you guys introduce yourselves so that we get familiar, and then we can start.
Well, I guess I'll start. I'm Zhao, and I co-founded the Curiosities about a year ago, just as this initiative to bring STEM education to kids and make it fun and get them actually into it. And yeah, here we are right now.
I'm Noah. I'm basically in the same boat with Ryan. I also co-founded this organization. And just a little bit about me, I guess. I do a lot of computer science and robotics. That's mainly what I focus on.
Cool. Awesome. And I know, Noah, you said you're super interested in computer science. Just a fun fact, what about you, Ryan? What specific field of science are you interested in?
As of right now, I am conducting astrochemistry research with a professor from Long Island University. And it's just really fun. I've been studying chemistry since seventh grade, and I think space is awesome because black holes and planets and stuff. So just being able to combine those two has been a really amazing experience, and that's just what I'm into right now.
That's so cool. It's so cool to hear what everybody's into because it's so many crazy things, especially being in IYSJ. We hear about people who are into aerospace engineering, and then we'll get people who's into bio. So it's really great to have you on board, and we're super excited to learn more about you. So we might start off with our first few questions. First off, what inspired you to start this organization?
Well, I was the one that presented the idea to Noah in February of last year. And the reason why I started this was because originally I was in this other organization. I was really active. I was leading a bunch of projects, but I felt like even though I was having a great impact on the community, I didn't think it was my way. I didn't think that this was my calling. And so I left that organization to start this because I felt like this was where my calling lied, just in sharing my passion for STEM and scientific thinking with youth so that they can preserve their curiosity and their creativity to carry on with them, to make them into brilliant, not just scientists, but just smart people. And of course, enjoying science is a big thing on the way as well. And so with this initiative, I presented it to Noah, and then we're like, sure, let's do a bunch of projects, and boom, boom, boom. Here we are today. We got branches in South Korea and California. And yeah, it's where we are right now, about a year in.
Just to add to that, I also agreed to this idea because I just thought our idea was unique. It was different, and I truly believed in it. I come from a background where I learned computer science exclusively just off of possibly the worst way, watching videos online, which was extremely, extremely boring. I'm glad I did it. I'm happy with the position I'm in now, but if I could redo that initial learning process, then I would not at all try and do it that way, because initially I just had no interest, no curiosity in computer science. So thus this organization is formed.
That's great. Yeah, I think with your organization, it's really great because you're introducing STEM and science in a really fun and accessible way, starting right from childhood. So I really relate to your experiences, Noah, as well. I'm very interested in computer science as well, but the ways that I've learned it are through YouTube. So sort of those 10-hour YouTube
Yeah.
tutorials.
Yeah,
I
that
Yeah.
thought,
4 hour Python video.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so it was very boring and I didn't really have a lot of interest in it first as well. So great job with what you guys are doing as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. One of the other questions that we wanted to ask you guys was what other organizations have you collaborated with in the past, and what was the process of doing that like?
We have the first organization that we collaborated with was our nearby Chinese school called Ku Chinese Academy. And what we pretty much did, because well, at least I went to, the summer camps there. I took classes there when I was a kid. So I already had an established relationship with the principal there. So I just contacted him and was like, hey, we want to meet with you about something we want to hold over the summer, this the little science summer camp. And he's like, are you available? And we were like, are you available? And he's like, yeah, sure. And so we met with him, we talked about it, and then we met a few more times later down the line. And then we held something called the Camp Curiosity, in which we taught kids about like game design and physics. And, they did a bunch of labs and like had a bunch of fun. And the experience that probably stood out most to us was this egg drop lab we did for physics to teach them about like gravity and air resistance. So they'd have to build these like parachutes to hold an egg, and they'd like drop them from like as high of a height as they could without having the egg cracking. And the kids enjoyed it a lot. They were like screaming their heads off because there's this one group that had this really simple design, but just their egg just wouldn't break. And we were even surprised. We're like, how is this even possible? And so they enjoyed it a lot. And Noah, do you want to talk about 4-H?
Oh yeah, sure. So 4-H is like a larger nonprofit, but they have numerous branches. And we collaborated, we kind of just reached out to our local branch, right? And we said like, hey, we see that you're hosting this event and it's like pretty similar to our goals. It was basically like a science fair to get children interested in science, right? And we asked them, like, could we do something in this event? And they're like, yes. Um, so we put on this presentation, right? This display of like a LCD monitor with its polarizing film removed. So basically, you can't see the image on the monitor unless you have the film in front of it. Thus, it creates kind of like a cool illusion where you have like this little square film. You can like put it on certain places on the monitor and you can see only certain parts of the image. So we made this kind of like a game, right? Where we had some images on and we had children like try and guess it with only seeing small parts of the image. And it was really successful. Like children were crowding around our booth more than the other ones, which was, quite a fun and enjoyable experiment.
Yeah, and just like to add on something that like we learned from both of those experiences, from Camp Curiosity and the 4-H thing, it's that teaching kids is not about giving them information. It's about giving them the incentive and the reason to seek out the information and take initiative and do the projects themselves. That's how you really get them into STEM. And once you're able to get their attention, they will do amazing things.
I 100% agree with that. Like, I could not agree more. It's not like throwing equations at students' faces. It's not like E equals MC squared, things like that. Like, that's
Yeah.
not how they're going to actually learn. They're not how they're going to actually practically understand what the true impact of science is. And I love what you're doing. It's so cool. And because you work with obviously such a younger generation, you've got like, I'm assuming like year ones, twos, threes, like little kids. What's something that you think needs to be fixed within our schooling system?
Well, Noah, you can start with this one.
Yeah, I mean, to be blunt, there's a lot. But like if I had to pick just one thing, it's that creativity is never really encouraged in schooling past maybe kindergarten. Like you will never get a reward in school for being creative, for thinking of a creative solution. In fact, most of the problems presented to you just have like one or maybe two simple solutions, right? Like obviously this can't be done in every subject. Like usually math is more straightforward than say chemistry or physics. But in those subjects where you really can be creative, I think schools should really exemplify the importance of that a lot more. Like they should give us problems where they don't just tell us how to do them, They let us figure out how to do them. And there should be multiple solutions, honestly.
Yeah. And I have some amazing experiences and little anecdotes from my experience with volunteering at our nearby elementary school that we're collaborating with. And basically what I'm doing, at least, it's called mini units. And basically we just like have these different little like sort of after school classes that are just kind of fun. And the mini unit that I'm working on is called Lots of Legos, which kids are just building Legos, right? And at first it doesn't seem like that connected to STEM, right? It's just like you're building stuff. Like maybe it's engineering, but like most of it's just like having fun on the surface at least. But then I was talking with one of the students one day. He was in 5th grade, and he was just like sitting on the floor. He was doing his math homework, and then I was just talking with him. I was just obviously just right there and just with him, making sure he's not like lonely and stuff. And he mentioned that the reason why he thinks it's important for him to be at this Lots of Legos mini units is because he feels like creativity is not promoted as much as it should be in schools. That's why he thinks that Lots of Legos, this mini unit, helps activate kids' imaginations. And there's this bunch of storytelling. Like there's like a bunch of kids in our group that are just like working together on different teams, like having like a giant Lego war, right? And it's like it's goofy and it's like quote unquote childish, but it's like brilliant because they can build these multiple people building off the same story, and it's like their imaginations are working together, and it's an amazing intricate process that has such a big tie to STEM as it works with innovation, it works with creativity, thinking outside the box. And that's just probably the biggest thing that experience has taught me.
Yeah, I just want to quickly jump in there. Like, I feel like lots of times people think there's this big disparity that, like, you can't be creative in STEM, especially in schooling. Like, I feel like that comes a lot, at least here, I feel that. I'm not sure about elsewhere, but I love how your organization really bridges that gap and really shows, like, at least for the younger generation, that you can still be creative and still enjoy math and science. I feel like oftentimes people are like, oh, I'm more of the creative mind. I don't really like science or math. You know what I mean? But really, like, they go hand in hand, and they go hand in hand so perfectly. Like, it's really great to see what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
100% agree.
Yeah, even within school settings, you'll see if you solve a problem in a different sort of method than what the teacher would like you to solve it in, they often won't give you maybe the point for it or sort of mark you down for that. So creativity is definitely sort of looked down upon and not really rewarded in school settings, I think. So it makes trying to use it very difficult and, enhancing it, which is why I think a lot of people sort of stir away from it as they grow older, for sure.
Yeah, like especially in professions, when you actually have a job, a lot of jobs like require you to be creative since you're solving problems that don't have solutions, you know? And if we don't teach that in school, then like what even is the point of school, really? Like, is it not to prepare you for like
The real world.
real society, adulthood? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think as well, when we look at sort of history as well, famous scientists like Einstein and Newton, they didn't solve these problems just by following the standard conventions that they were taught in school. They actually had the creativity within them to branch out and try and think about the problems they were trying to solve in a creative, sort of out of the box way. So creativity definitely needs to be more encouraged as well. Yeah.
Because if the answer was like right in front of you, and if it was like just follow the path, then anybody could have reached it, right? You have to like go onto the trail to actually understand. You have to go off the trail. You have to, think outside of the box to actually come up with these like crazy new ideas. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. One of the other questions that we wanted to ask you is, we're sure that you guys have faced some challenges with running Curiosity Creators inevitably, as with any other organization. So what are the challenges that you have faced, and how are you able to overcome them with running the organization?
The biggest challenge that we have faced so far is honestly, the biggest one that I can think of is one that we haven't really solved yet. And I guess solved isn't the right word, but I guess it's a goal we're trying to achieve, and it's trying to hold our first completely independent event. Like of course we had successful events with, our local Chinese school, with a huge organization like 4-H, but we want to do our own thing. And I feel like that's important for us to establish that we can hold our own, we can do things on our own, by our own rules, using our own narrative, with our own structure. And obviously, it's hard to do that when you're starting out as a young organization, especially compared to like 4-H, which is like everywhere. And so, but I think the biggest thing that you eventually have to do is that, like, you can work with so many different organizations, but the fact of the matter is, if you don't start doing your own thing, you won't do your own thing. So the first thing you have to do is take the first step and just say, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to reach out to these different places that, like, maybe like a library we can hold our event, just like to have a venue. And they're probably going to say no, right? And then go to the next one, they might say no, or they might not have enough room, but we're going to try anyways. And we're going to try until we get it. And so, to be honest, it's just a story of perseverance. You have anything to add, Noah?
I mean, honestly, you kind of summed it up. Like, that really is our main goal, the main challenge we want to surpass before we, pass the torch along to the next generation of curiosity creators. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. Yeah, I can totally agree. Like, even as like IYSJ, we've been here for quite a while, but it can be tough to kind of like reach the audience that you want to reach, right, Dalia? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as an independent organization as well, it is quite hard to, reach out to people. I think relating to what Ryan and Noah said as well, I think because we're all high schoolers, it definitely makes it difficult to sort of conduct our own events because we don't have that sort of credibility that maybe adults have. And so many people might not be very trustworthy of us. So definitely perseverance, I think, is key. Showing people that, okay, we want to do this, so we're going to do this, and we're going to try and achieve it no matter what.
Yeah, I know we're just in high school. We just want to help, you know what I mean? Like, just trying to like get that message across because at the end of the day, like, we're all passionate about what we do. And I think as IYSJ, we love connecting with people like Ryan, like Noah, like the Curiosity Creators team. And yeah, we thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate it, Dolly. Do you have anything?
I think just as a final note, since you guys are quite successful, are there any tips that you would like to leave maybe our viewers with for creating a successful nonprofit? Maybe if they would like to sort of create one in the future as well.
Can I start? Like,
can start.
honestly, I think just keep busy. Like, just don't stop doing things. Don't stop trying things. The way most nonprofits die, or most organizations in general, like school clubs and whatnot, is just that people just stop. They just stop doing things. They stop hosting events. They stop reaching out to people, and they just sort of slowly die off like that, right? Like, the main thing that's been driving our organization is that each one of our members consistently does things, really, to be blunt. They just do things every week, right? We have a log where we keep each other accountable. And every week we check in and we ask everyone, like, hey, what'd you do this week, right? And I feel like that has just sort of kept our organization going.
Yeah. And I think that this is my opinion, the most important thing, right? If you're listening, take notes, because most nonprofits don't have this. If you want to start a nonprofit, you have to actually believe in what you're doing, right? Like, every successful business person, every successful person who's like done something was intrinsically motivated by what they did. They did it not so that they could achieve some sort of goal, they could get into some sort of top college like MIT or Harvard or something. They did it because they just liked it. They just want to do it. And that's just kind of us. We do it, like, to be honest, college is probably like a secondary priority. We just do this because A, it's fun, and B, we find meaning out of it, right? And so the meaning is the one I'm talking about right now. And so to address fun, to be honest, we're just a collection of like really nerdy guys that happen to be friends that just like to do science, right? To be honest, we're not just like an organization. We're just friends that hang out, that are working towards a common goal, and we just have a ton of fun on the way. And just being able to do that makes the experience so much more enjoyable and so much more fulfilling. So just to sum it up, A, find meaning in what you do, and B, have fun while you're at it.
Wow, what a great note to leave.
That was a great note. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. We love hearing all your like tips and tricks, maybe a few like secrets. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us. And everybody stay tuned for our next episode. We have a few interesting people coming up soon. Maybe some authors, some other organizations. But yeah, and also let us know if you guys want to see any other interviewees, any other guests. We'd love to have them along.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.